specifically who writes this initial document, but more importantly, how does it get changed in the future? Can the administrator or the trustee board change it themselves?
The trustees cannot change the funding policy document. It has to go out back to the creators of the plan to change those documents.
And that is the
Well,
province.
in this case, there would be several entities involved, you know, administrative.
So what we do have in this case is that, as I would understand, we do have a base case, so we have a pension plan to start with.
Yes.
The trustees would definitely be made up of people, representatives within the pension, like with some other boards. So there would be representatives that would be part of that overall governance model. And we can give you, I can get more details on how that would work, but you definitely would have representation there. And any future changes would be ones that would be able to map out and say, does this make sense for the plan? And so there would, it would not be like a government kind of overall directive that could do this.
So it will, your vision of this is it will be a self-managing group?
It's set up as a board of trustees that would work with an investment. Now today, the plan's managed by NBIMC, so
Yes.
Brunswick Investment Management Corp. That could continue, except they would no longer have a connection or direct report as such. They're an independent operation, but they're tied with the Department of Finance. That would not be the case. It would be a board of trustees that would be overseeing the investment branch.
I find it especially distasteful, having been someone who earned my pension in Fredericton, to be referred to as a whiner by someone who speaks on behalf of government. Please stop comparing us to people who do not have pensions, because when we enter into our employment arrangements, we make a compensation decision, and in the case of being a government employee, we take part of our compensation now, and we take part of it later. That's the deal in our compensation arrangements. People who do not have pensions made a different deal. They agreed to take all their money now, and that's just great. But then they made the choice as to how they're going to protect their future. We made a deal that we take some of the amounts of it later. So please stop that rhetoric, because it is not helpful, it's insulting, and it makes people like me who are normally very rational and looking for solutions angry. Okay, thank you.
Have we actually looked at grandfathering current pensioners in without touching anything? I'm not sure I got. Have you actually looked at grandfathering the current people in and leave them alone? Don't put your hands in their pockets, period. If you're starting with a new model, fine. We're members of the old model. And other organizations government honors their commitment to the employee. That is the solution to the whole problem. If you do that, there is no problem. There may be other problems with current employees and so on and so forth, but you've handled a couple of 100,000 people very effectively.
The plan was designed, the Schroeder's plan was designed so that all members of the plan shared in the changes. So if for the same money, if there was a guarantee for retirees, there would be much less for current employees. And that's the choice that was there. I understand that what your question, and I understand where you're coming from, but that's the choice that was made there. There was certain money available, and it was distributed in that manner.
That wasn't his question. His question wasn't that. He wants to know, did you look at leaving our retirees alone? Did you look at it, yes or no?
The actuary doesn't look at those issues.
Now, I have yet to see, and I was always told, you know, you lead by example mainly in life as you walk the treacherous path. I don't hear anything at all about any politician or anybody in Fredericton taking a cut of anything.
Yes.
The pension plan, as I'm aware, in terms of the MLA pension plan, was reduced 30% when we first came into office. There haven't been any increases in MLA salaries since we came into office. The program, the shared risk model, would be adopted by MLAs through the same process. So we are doing the very same thing that we're asking others to do in this format.
Is your timeline for drawing the pension going to be the same as a civil servant, 25 years, or remain at 8 years?
Well, currently, I'm not aware of any change to that. However, I guess what I would say is that isn't, maybe there should be a change, but maybe the whole thing should be changed dramatically. I can only tell you this. I certainly didn't join this process for the pension.
One final point, Mr. Minister, just to relay a little story. A number of years ago, the healthcare system got in trouble with the previous government. We were all called into an office. I happened to be one of the managers at that time. I was requested to take a 10% pay cut, of which I did. They sold it based on job protection, based on the betterment of the healthcare system. Unions were called in, asking to further wages and the contracts and so on and so forth. They all agreed to that there. At the end of that year, I was very shocked to discover that all senior management received a bonus. And is the same rhetoric going to happen here? Everybody has come here, done a very nice job presenting it and everything else. Well, we'll give you a bonus, boys. You guys sold that one. Thank you very much.
Just about everybody in this room is here for one reason. They signed a legal trust during their careers. Maybe 3 or 4 years, a new contract would come up. We would sign on the line, and we kept our promise. Now it appears the government of the day is looking at breaking that promise, that trust. Is that fair?
So Ivan, I guess it is a sensitive situation that we're in here. So we had a case where a model is only funded because it's legislated to be funded. And all of the other pension plans that have an equal contribution were in trouble and had to develop a program that is different. So you can say, is it fair to look at how things have changed in the last 20, 30 years? And when I mentioned to you about that we had to add to our deficit this year $53 million purely because of just changes in the mortality tables. Now that's a good thing, and I've said it before that I hope to take advantage of longevity as well. But the point is, the model, the funding model has changed. So how do we deal with it?
Our plan was based on the Ontario teachers model. We are identical to that model. Yet we were abused by the Telegraph Journal for 2 straight years as if this was not happening anywhere else but St. John, New Brunswick. There were 4 other cities in the province that the government knew about, that the actuary knew about, and the superintendent pension knew about, but didn't divulge that. So we were the scapegoats for this shared risk program. Well, how is it fair that in that process, the pensioners of the city of St. John and the retirees and the widows and so on had no say on, or no voice at even sitting on the pension board? They're not on the pension board today. Why aren't they on there? Because they're going to be affected by the shared risk model at some point in time. Is it not fair to make changes on this go-forward basis? The people in here have paid their fair share. Is it not fair for them to be protected by your government today?
I think that, I've spoken to that situation previously, and what we're trying to find is a fair path forward that's fair to the existing employees, fair to the retirees, and fair to the taxpayers of the province. So we're trying to balance this, and that's what this process is about. So, you know, we can't look at any one situation in isolation. We're trying to find a solution for the long haul here. That's as simple as that.
I'm George Chapman. I'm here representing my mother-in-law who has Alzheimer's, and she's a widow of a PSSA retiree. And he's also a veteran who worked many years, signed 37 years at the DOT. And when he went to work, he was there to be around for this pension. Well, he's not around anymore. He's been gone for 11 years. But what is going to happen? We've got no input. No one sent no letter. My wife's a power attorney. We've got no representation, any letter at all from the government about the pension. We're all picking up around the news media. Plus, I'm a retired city worker, and no one would give us any representation. Just as Mr. Court just said, no one would get back to us. They wouldn't speak to us, and we got no one of the retirees on the board. And Blaine, I are an honorable person, but you know I get emotional, and I hope to God you can stand and speak your own mind, and not that gentleman up in front of you, because he's not listening to us. He wouldn't even send a letter back to the retiree meeting. You are an honorable man, Blaine. I'll take that to the bank, and I hope you stand up for it. I'll say it to your face. I don't go behind your back, and I have high respect for you. And I think you better listen to the people, because you know what happens down the road.
I am not here, and anyone who's been involved in any of the processes I've had with the budget, I am not here for any other reason than to listen to the group that's here today. My last 2.5 years, as you're well aware, have not been easy, but they've been spent on trying to get a sustainable future for this province. And this is no different. This is about finding a solution that we can all feel good about. So it's just, how do we get across the bridge? If you have a letter that you say you're not getting a response to, give it to me, and you'll get a response.
Letter or anything to my wife. She's the power attorney, right on the tax bill too. You know where to send the tax bill? You know what happened to that?
So
They charged the double tax because she's in a nursing home.
okay, well, as I understand, nothing's going to change with her pension. So there's no changes to her pension.
Did her grandfather.
Yes, that's right, and there will be no changes.
And I want you to listen to me. Now, you know where it's coming from. You know that. You know where that's coming from.
I know.
He called me the other night, so you can take it what it's worth.
All right,
He
thank
told me to keep calm, okay?
You know that I do a lot with mental health. I look at population health. I look at the stressors involved. When you look at population health, you look at the population and how change and transitional change affects individuals. And I have something that I would like to read to you, because I've been Googling a lot. It says, and here goes my eyesight. The realities of senior living often do not match up with the carefree images of glossy retirement communities, sales brochures. For many seniors today, the golden years can be incredibly stressful times. What causes seniors so much stress? Change is a major trigger, and seniors experience plenty of change. Declining health, death of friends and loved ones, moving the loss of retirement savings due to the downturn in the market. The list goes on. Another common stressor for seniors is the cost of living. For those who live on fixed incomes, and even for those who do not, the ever-increasing cost of living is a constant source of stress. Many seniors wonder how they're going to make ends meet, and the cost of everything continues to rise, from heating to property taxes to the cost of prescription medication and everyday necessities. When I was working with the PSSA, this is what they used to tell me. We can't change. I would look at other unions and I'd say, gee, how come they're getting that? And they'd say to me, you're an ACT, you're a PSSA. We can't do that. And so at the end of the day, I really caution you to look at what it's doing to this population. And we're all about fairness. Most of us continue to pay taxes. We're consumers. But you know, we talk about the migration of youth. I'm going to tell you, sir, that you may not necessarily see a migration of youth. You may see a lot of seniors choosing to leave this province. by the way that we have been treated. And frankly, I have a lot of respect for you. However, I do believe that you owe us an apology from what your committee has said about me being a fat cat bureaucrat. I may be a fat cat, sir, but I am not a bureaucrat. Anyway, I thank you for your time.